shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
25 worst insatiably hedonistic actors in Hollywood history. Ever wondered about the wildest, most hedonistic actors in Hollywood history? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving deep into the scandalous lives of some of Tinseltown's most notorious party animals. Get ready for some jaw-dropping stories. Number 25, Clara Bow. The it girl of the 1920s, Clara Bow was known for her wild parties and rebellious spirit. But just how wild were the parties of the original it girl? You won't believe the scandals that rocked Clara Bow's Hollywood. Clara Bow was a silent movie actress who began working in Hollywood and in the roaring 20s, and is one of the most prolific flapper girls of the time. She was known for her lifestyle of debauchery, alcoholism, and wild partying. There have been many pop culture references to her throughout time. Margot Robbie's Babylon character is based on her, while Prince also mentions her in a song. But perhaps the most famed part of her legacy is Betty Boop. She is cited as the inspiration for the sexed-up cartoon character. In fact, not only was she an it girl, she coined the term. In 1927, she starred in a film called It, playing a plucky shop girl named Betty Lou Spence. As a adult, she gained the nickname It Girl, which has been used for a century since. Number 24, Errol Flynn. Swashbuckling on screen, but what about his off-screen adventures? Get ready to uncover the truth behind Errol Flynn's legendary escapades. The swashbuckling actor Errol Flynn was notorious for his womanizing, drinking, and gambling. Born in Tasmania in 1909, during the golden age of Hollywood, Errol Flynn became one of the most recognizable movie stars in the world. Best known for his roles as a suave swashbuckler.
Where is everything?
That is a question I've often asked myself. But the answer's really quite simple. I'm a man who loves beautiful things.
His good looks and charisma made him one of Warner Brothers' most popular talents. Although Flynn may have been at the top of the Hollywood totem pole, not everything was as it seemed. There was a darker side to Flynn that involved countless women and a destructive, hedonistic lifestyle. On screen, he was the freedom-loving rebel, a man of action who fought against injustice and won the hearts of damsels in the process. His off-screen passions, drinking, fighting, boating, and sex, made his film escapades seem pale. His love life brought him considerable fame, 3 statutory rape trials, and a lasting memorial in the expression, "in like Flynn."
But as soon as I come back this time, we're not going to let the army or anything else interfere with our happiness.
Number 23, Joan Crawford. From Hollywood royalty to scandalous affairs, Joan Crawford's life was anything but ordinary. What secrets lurked behind her glamorous facade? A ruthless self-promoter, Joan Crawford was rumored to have had numerous affairs and a taste for the finer things in life.
You just wouldn't believe how much trouble it is to dispose of a dead elephant.
Her days are a whirlwind of traveling, public appearances, board meetings, charitable endeavors, Hollywood deal-making, and of course, entertaining. For Joan, the quiet life she maintained with her second husband, Francois Tone, meant throwing dinner parties only once a week, along with the occasional buffet for 50 people. She often played hostess for evening meetings with Steele's business associates, fixing drinks and preparing snacks. Number 22, John Barrymore. Part of the legendary Barrymore dynasty, but did John's personal life match his on-screen success? Brace yourself for the shocking truth about John Barrymore's tumultuous journey. A member of the legendary Barrymore acting dynasty, John Barrymore was famous for his drinking and partying. Brother Lionel and sister Ethel won Academy Awards for their roles in A Free Soul in 1931 and None But the Lonely Heart in 1944, though Jack never so much as received a nomination. He speculated it was due to his notorious drinking problem. I think they were afraid I'd show up at the awards banquet drunk. Jack's relationships with women were similarly fraught. He barely knew his absentee mother, an actress who died when he was 11. At 15, he was reportedly molested by his 28-year-old stepmother. Expelled from several schools, once for allegedly patronizing a brothel, Jack's illicit affairs were legion. Same with his drinking binges. His screen success funded a lavish lifestyle that included a 55-room compound in the Hollywood Hills. Sadly, Jack's alcoholism was relentless. Studios were reluctant to hire him. When they did, they cast him as drunks or has-beens, mirroring his physical decline. Barrymore's sets were littered with cue cards because he couldn't remember his lines. Divorced 4 times, Jack's substance abuse ravaged his heirs. Daughter Diana committed suicide at 31. Son John and granddaughter Drew battled drug addictions. Jack confessed he was powerless against his demons. You can't drown yourself in drink. I've tried. You float. Number 21. Wallace Beery. Gruff and volatile, Wallace Beery was more than just a talented actor. Discover the dark side of this Hollywood heavyweight's volatile temper and love of brawls. A gruff and heavy drinking actor, Wallace Beery was known for his volatile temper and love of brawls. Beery appeared in some 250 films during a 36-year career. His contract with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer stipulated in 1932 that he would be paid $1 more than any other contract player at the studio. This made Beery the highest-paid film actor in the world during the early 1930s. Beery was considered misanthropic and difficult to work with by many of his colleagues. Robert Young described Beery as a shitty person. On set, he often never bothered to learn his lines and instead chose to take from other actors' characters and then resented when his theft was pointed out. When prompting for another actor's close-up, Beery would read the wrong lines, making it harder for his co-stars to meet their marks. Beery was loathed by everybody and happily oblivious. Beery owned and flew his own planes, including a Howard DG-811. On April 15, 1933, he was commissioned a lieutenant commander in the United States Navy Reserve at NRAB Long Beach. One of his proudest achievements was catching the largest giant black sea bass in the world, 515 pounds or 234 kilograms, off Santa Catalina Island in 1916, a record that stood for 35 years. Number 20. Jean Harlow. The original blonde bombshell led a life filled with glitz, glamour, and tragedy. But what lurked beneath Jean Harlow's stunning facade? The original blonde bombshell, Jean Harlow embodied the free-spirited flapper of the 1920s. She was gorgeous. She was sharp and witty and rapacious. The women of America thought she had transfixed their men. The dragon woman of Hollywood, not least Joan Crawford, were sure she was stealing theirs. She married Charles McGrew when she was only 16, and just 2 months after their marriage, McGrew received part of his inheritance, which the couple wasted no time in moving to Beverly Hills, where Jean began hosting the luncheons and teas typical of her society set. The couple was independently wealthy, and neither one of them worked. With no need to work, Jean and her husband mostly just drank. The marriage was short-lived and ended in 1929. But by 1935, Jean seemed to have finally found love with actor William Powell, her co-star in Reckless and Libeled Lady. The two dated seriously for 2 years. However happy she may have been personally with William, Jean continued to drink heavily, which, as Longworth notes, may have obscured other health problems, including headaches mistaken for hangovers and a puffy face and swollen belly that Jean likely believed to be alcohol-related weight gain. Not even 10 years into her career, Jean was looking less and less like her blonde bombshell self. Even her signature platinum locks began to fall out in clumps as the weekly bleachings finally took their toll. Number 19. Carole Lombard. Known for her comedic talents and infectious zest for life, Carole Lombard's Hollywood parties were the stuff of legend. But what secrets lay hidden behind her laughter?
Some people thought I was funny.
But you certainly weren't funny when you played Lady Macbeth.
Thank you.
Known for her comedic talents and infectious zest for life, Carole Lombard was a Hollywood party girl. The legendary star of such classics as My Man Godfrey and 20th Century would rise to become a high-paid performer in the middle of the Depression. Lombard was known for her tomboy style, for her marriages to megastars William Powell and Clark Gable, and for throwing great parties. It became imprinted upon the legend, Carole Lombard, thrower of crazy parties. Number 18, W.C. Fields. A comedian with a taste for strong drink, W.C. Fields' off-screen persona mirrored his on-screen one. But just how wild were his antics when the camera stopped rolling? William Claude Dukenfield. He was an American comedian, actor, juggler, and writer.
Wait a minute, I want to show you my private art collection. Okay, Abigail?
Fields' comic persona was a misanthropic and hard-drinking egotist who remained a sympathetic character despite his snarling contempt for dogs and children. Known as the Great One, William Claude Dukenfield was better known to the world by his stage name, W.C. Fields. Born in Darby, Pennsylvania, on January 29, 1880, Fields created a hard-drinking, sarcastic, egocentric persona that was so convincing he became one of the most famous drunk misanthropes who ever lived. Number 17, Marlene Dietrich. Glamorous, androgynous, and unapologetically herself. But what scandals lurked behind Marlene Dietrich's iconic image? A glamorous and androgynous actress, Marlene Dietrich was rumored to have had affairs with both men and women. Off-screen, Dietrich lived up to her image as an independent, sexually liberated woman.
If you would dine with me.
I'm engaged.
Oh. Well, then don't bother anymore.
Remarked British critic Kenneth Tynan, Marlene's masculinity appeals to women and her sexuality to men. Indeed, though she remained married to Sieber until his death in 1976, Dietrich had numerous affairs with both sexes. In Europe, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, she once said. We make love with anyone we find attractive. Though fondly remembered for androgynous roles, she mostly played femme fatales, often prostitutes, in movies such as Shanghai Express in 1932 and Blonde Venus in 1932. By the mid-1930s, she was the most highly paid actress of her day. Far from ruining her career, Dietrich's gender-bending and libertine reputation only added to her allure. Her attitude of sexual entitlement, such as her androgynous attire, helped change society's image of femininity. Number 16, Clark Gable. The king of Hollywood had it all: charm, talent, and a string of affairs that kept tongues wagging. But what secrets did Clark Gable's leading man persona hide?
Red, you go. Where shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
The king of Hollywood and the icon of the golden age of cinema, Clark Gable was known for his charm and his affairs with numerous co-stars. The dawn of the talkies proved fortuitous for Gable. His deep, resonant voice complemented his on-screen persona. Metro Goldwyn Mayer, MGM, recognized his potential and signed him in 1930. His breakout role came in Red Dust, 1932, where he co-starred with the legendary Jean Harlow. Their sizzling chemistry ignited the screen, establishing Gable as a leading man and a box office draw. But it was 1939 that cemented his status as Hollywood royalty. His portrayal of the enigmatic Rhett Butler in Gone with the Wind remains one of cinema's most iconic performances. Gable's charm and rebellious spirit embodied the character, forever etching his name in film history. Gable's personal life was as colorful as his on-screen persona. He married 5 times, most notably to actress Carole Lombard in 1939. Their tragic deaths in a plane crash in 1942 left him devastated. His reputation as a ladies' man was well earned, with rumors and affairs swirling throughout his career. Despite the scandals, Gable remained a popular figure, his charm and charisma enduring. Number 15, Tallulah Bankhead. A flamboyant and outspoken actress, Tallulah Bankhead was known for her wit, her wild parties, and her bisexuality. Tallulah Bankhead was an award-winning actress. She left a lasting mark on stage and screen, known for her flamboyant personality, racy affairs, and deep voice.
Will you please stop boring, Miss Bankhead?
When Miss Bankhead is bored, Miss Bankhead will let you know.
Tallulah Bankhead married actor John Emery in 1937, and they divorced in 1941. She had no children. After her 1942 success, she bought a home in rural New York where she entertained frequently. Estelle Winwood and Patsy Kelly were among the guests who lived with her there. Many ask whether Tallulah was a lesbian. Undoubtedly, she did have sex and relationships with women, as well as men. Her name was linked during her lifetime with many people, men and women, and she carefully nurtured her wild reputation. She was also known for using cocaine and often mentioned that she did. Number 14, Humphrey Bogart. Though known for playing tough guys on screen, Humphrey Bogart was a heavy drinker and gambler in real life. Humphrey DeForest Bogart is a whiskey-drinking actor who has been hooting at Hollywood and making fun of its pretensions for 22 years. Mr. Bogart's derision, often acted out with alcoholic capers in nightclubs, followed by funny quotes in the public prints, is mainly aimed at the popular gospel that under their grease paint, glamorous or menacing, screen players are really fine, home-loving, dish-washing citizens like you and me. Bogart is the kind of guest you would enjoy having in your house. Perhaps twice. He will not drink up all your liquor. Indeed, he is likely to nurse 2 scotches with a moderate dash of soda all evening. He is likely to behave and be darkly charming. But he is also certain to incite a minimum of 2 fistfights and 8 yelling arguments and exit laughing.
Hey, Louie.
Yes, Mr. Donahue?
When I order cheesecake, I don't expect to get mucilage.
I'm sorry, Mr. Donahue, but
this is not Miller's cheesecake.
Mr. Bogart is a non-catalytic social agent and the precise answer to Dale Carnegie. Number 13, Veronica Lake. Sultry and mysterious, Veronica Lake's off-screen life was just as captivating as her on-screen persona. But what demons haunted this Hollywood siren? A sultry actress with a mysterious air, Veronica Lake was known for her affairs and her alleged ties to the underworld. Veronica Lake, a femme fatale icon of 1940s Hollywood noir, Lake brought to the screen an air of mystery, containing sensuality and quiet wit that lit up the screen. But as she herself said, she just wasn't cut out to be a movie star, at least not as Hollywood in the 40s envisioned that role. And her later life was marked by broken marriages, addiction, and illness. Lake largely disappeared from the big screen after the 1940s, working mainly in TV and on the stage in the 1950s and 60s. Mental illness and alcohol took their toll. She was married 4 times and had 4 children. But when she died from hepatitis and kidney injury at just 50 years old in July 1973, only one of her kids and none of her exes bothered to attend her memorial service in New York City. Number 12, Barbara Stanwyck. A strong-willed and independent actress, Barbara Stanwyck was known for her lavish lifestyle and her battles with the studio system. Barbara Stanwyck's film career spanned more than 3 decades, from the dawn of talkies to the crumbling of the Hollywood studio system. Through all those years, some things remained constant. Her greyhound figure, her stripped-down acting style, her volatile mixture of hard shell and wounded heart. With her famously lithe, bold stride and her dusky voice, at once so plain and so expressive in its effects, she was the archetypal American Dane. Number 11, William Holden. Ruggedly handsome and charming, William Holden's love of gambling, drinking, and fast cars led him down a dangerous path. But what secrets did he keep hidden beneath his perfect exterior? Few famous actors are as all-American as William Holden. One of the biggest Hollywood stars of his day, Holden's handsome features seduced everyone around him. Underneath his pretty face, however, was a man with a troubled life, who constantly struggled with the demons of addiction.
I'm drunk, so I'm going home.
Needless to say, Hollywood's golden boy hid many dark secrets beneath his perfect exterior. The years of his drinking started taking its toll on Holden's chiseled look by the 1960s. Despite being relatively young still, he was considered Hollywood old school and began losing roles to younger stars like Steve McQueen and Paul Newman. This in turn caused Holden to drink more. He did continue to make some good movies like The Wild Bunch in 1969, The Towering Inferno in 1974, and his last movie, S.O.B. in 1981. However, by that time, he was no longer the handsome leading man of movies. Number 10. Tyrone Power. A matinee idol known for his good looks and athleticism, Tyrone Power was a playboy both on and off screen. A dashing lead in adventure films and romances, Tyrone Power was one of Hollywood's most popular actors from the late 1930s until the mid-1950s, and the pride of 20th Century Fox, his home studio. Power was, after all, one of the few matinee idols to give MGM's Clark Gable and Warner Brothers' Errol Flynn a run for their money as resident sex symbol, someone who could pull in as many female as male moviegoers. His handsome, chiseled features and natural athleticism made him a natural for swashbuckling fare like the Mark of Zorro in 1940 and the Black Swan in 1942. But he was well equipped for almost any genre, from westerns and crime dramas to light comedies and musicals. Power had been carrying on a tumultuous affair with Lana Turner since his separation from wife Annabella. But in 1948, he met and fell in love with actress Linda Christian on a goodwill trip through Europe and South Africa. Power and Christian were married in 1949 at the Church of Santa Fresca in Rome, before a 10,000-strong crowd of fans, and Turner never got over being dumped by the man she called the greatest love of my life. And that was saying something, as Turner made her way through Hollywood, dating many men and marrying 7 times. Number 9. Lana Turner. A sultry actress with a troubled personal life, Lana Turner was involved in several scandals, including the murder of her gangster boyfriend. Lana Turner, born February 8, 1920, Wallace, Idaho, U.S., died June 29, 1995, Los Angeles, California, was an American film actress known for her glamorous looks and sexual allure. Though her skill as an actress was limited, Turner excelled in roles that highlighted her sexuality and working-class roots. She enjoyed her greatest popularity in the 1940s and 50s, often playing the part of a good girl gone bad. Turner's screen roles often mirrored her tumultuous private life. Her 7 husbands included bandleader Artie Shaw and movie Tarzan Lex Baker, and she was romantically linked to numerous other men. She made headlines nationwide when her 14-year-old daughter, Cheryl Crane, stabbed to death Turner's abusive gangster boyfriend, Johnny Stompanato. Number 8. Gene Tierney. A stunning beauty with a tragic personal life, Gene Tierney battled mental illness while maintaining a glamorous facade. Tierney was once one of Hollywood's biggest stars. She starred in some 50 movies, including Laura, Tobacco Road, Heaven Can Wait, Leave Her to Heaven, for which she was nominated for an Oscar, The Ghost and Mrs. Muir, and so on. She was known for her spicy social life, including liaisons with Howard Hughes, John F. Kennedy, Tyrone Power, and designer Oleg Cassini, who she married, and whose widow is now very pissed off. She lived bravely and honestly despite her lifelong struggle with mental illness. Tierney's experience with chronic depression seems to have been triggered by the birth of her daughter Daria. It marked the beginning of her battle with depression, hallucinations, and delusional thinking. Despite the constant struggle, the perpetual battle of fighting myself, as she characterized it, Tierney refused to give up. She kept making movies. On the set of The Left Hand of God with Humphrey Bogart, she was virtually incapacitated when not performing. Her condition was so alarming that Bogart informed the studio that she needed help. But even though she was constantly racked by sobs and had fears that people were trying to poison her, she insisted upon finishing the movie, and she did it well. Number 7. David Niven. A debonair British actor, David Niven was known for his dry wit and his love of gambling. Born to a longtime military family, Niven attended Sandhurst Military Academy. He made his way to Hollywood in the mid-1930s and began performing as an extra. His first major roles were in Dawn Patrol 1938 and Wuthering Heights 1939. He rapidly became known as a steady, reliable actor who usually specialized in light comedy. Number 6. Bette Davis. A strong-willed and talented actress, Bette Davis was known for her feuds with other stars and her flamboyant lifestyle. With her famously big eyes and her infamously unlikable characters, Davis poured everything she had into her craft. After all, you don't get 10 Oscar nominations just for being pretty. But Bette Davis's road to success was far from idyllic. She got married 4 times, stood up to major studio executives.
You disgust me.
Me? I disgust you.
And of course, sharpened her claws in a legendary feud with Joan Crawford. Right from the beginning of her career, people had polarizing opinions about Bette Davis. As a sign of her combative personality, Davis actually got snubbed by a New York theater troupe called the Manhattan Civic Repertory Theater. Their reasons for turning down one of the greatest actresses of all time? Her, and I quote, frivolous and insincere attitude. Number 5. Gary Cooper. A stoic and enigmatic actor, Gary Cooper was known for his love of horses and his reputation as a ladies' man. There was no cowboy handsomer than Gary Cooper. John Wayne had the sneer, and Gene Autry had the voice, but no one smoldered quite like Cooper. In his early films, he was glamour on a horse, his eyes lined, his face powdered, yet somehow right at home in the saddle. In part because, unlike so many city boys turned screen cowboys, he grew up in Montana, one of the last veritable frontiers of the early 20th century. Over his 30 years in Hollywood, he would play variations on the cowboy. The cowboy goes to war, the cowboy goes to the city. But in each turn, he not only won the girl, but did so righteously. Cooper became a hero to many, even as he developed a reputation as one of the most notorious philanderers in Hollywood. He had stiff competition. Clark Gable, Spencer Tracy, the list goes on. But Cooper may or may have not slept with every single co-star. No matter his age, no matter their age, he was insatiable before and during his marriage. How to reconcile his moral righteousness on screen with his philandering off-screen? That was the work of fixers, gossip magazines, and the studio system at large, which ensured that Cooper was never caught, never denounced, and held up as a paragon of American values. Of course, the way he looked in pants didn't hurt. Number 4. Douglas Fairbanks. The original swashbuckling film star, Douglas Fairbanks was known for his adventurous spirit, athleticism, and lavish parties. Hunky, gregarious, and with a dazzling smile, Douglas Fairbanks was apparently born to be a movie star. Never lacking in ambition and enthusiasm, he also became one of Hollywood's founding fathers. In 1919, together with his best friend, Charlie Chaplin, his bride-to-be, Mary Pickford, and director D.W. Griffith, he started the United Artists Studio, which is still, despite some recent uncertainties, a Hollywood player. Fairbanks' personal life, especially his marriage to Mary Pickford, another film star, was highly publicized. They were dubbed Hollywood royalty, hosting many parties at their Beverly Hills home, Pickfair. Their marriage was a significant Hollywood romance until their divorce in 1936. Number 3. Charlie Chaplin. The silent film comedian Charlie Chaplin was known for his womanizing and brushes with scandal. The hard-working, spottily educated little Chaplin spent his childhood as a clog dancer, in and out of workhouses and relatives' homes, before learning physical comedy from the legendary British comedian Fred Karno. Chaplin rose to the status of the most famous man in the world by the age of 26. This compelling background, combined with a huge Hollywood salary and the respect and adoration Chaplin commanded in spite of being about 5'5", allowed the actor to sleep with what he estimated were about 2,000 women during his lifetime. Chaplin married 4 times. 3 out of 4 of his wives were teenagers when they made their commitment. Number 2. Norma Shearer. This Canadian-born actress was known for her elegance and sophistication, but also for her sharp wit and taste for expensive luxuries. She was rumored to have had numerous affairs and enjoyed a life of extravagance. Often playing spunky, sexually liberated ingenues, Norma Shearer was a Canadian-American film actor of some repute. She was the definition of the exquisite and sophisticated image of womanhood in the 1930s, exploring love and sex with an honesty that would shock most today, but in her day was downright scandalous. She was a 6-time Academy Award nominee, winning in 1930. She made it acceptable for the first time to be single and not a virgin on screen. She was a chic revolutionary, but her life was never far from intrigue, and not always for the right reasons. Number 1, the Rat Pack. In the 1960s, Frank Sinatra and his cronies Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford, and Joey Bishop established a form of bourgeois hedonism that, once again, since Sinatra's recent death, has become an object of fascination. They had it made. The booze, the broads, the banter, the handmade suits, the swimming pools, the automatic welcome into the back rooms of restaurants owned by men of discretion. From Las Vegas to Palm Springs to Miami, they lived in a world of endless sunshine. Nothing, surely, could be as much fun as the life of the Rat Pack at the dawn of the 60s. The more they drank on stage, the more they indulged a liking for obscure in-group nonsense, the louder the audience cheered. During one 4-week season at the Sands Hotel in Las Vegas, 34,000 people flocked to see Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Joey Bishop, and Peter Lawford exude the glow of an effortless hedonism, behind which flickered the shadows of organized crime and political corruption. Sinatra sang, Martin boozed, Davis danced, Bishop did the stand-up thing, and Lawford was Lawford, a handsome English actor of aristocratic background and indeterminate talent who happened to have become the brother-in-law of the next president of the United States. Occasionally, they were joined by a woman, perhaps the singer Keely Smith, whom Sinatra dated, or Shirley MacLaine, who had a walk-on part in Ocean's 11, the film that celebrated their camaraderie. Their glamour was such that they didn't need to sing properly, and their jokes didn't have to be funny.
Safe? Am I safe? I'm safe!
Their drooling audiences picked up the patented slang. Something or somebody good was a gas or a gasser. Something or somebody tiresome was a bunter. Well, there you have it, folks. The 25 worst insatiably hedonistic actors in Hollywood history. Did any of your favorites make the list? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more juicy Hollywood gossip. Until next time, keep living life to the fullest, but maybe not too full. Bye for now.